Hi everybody, as I'm recording this video, it is the 5th of February 2023, which means the early access release of Operation Harsh Doorstep is 10 days away. And so what you're seeing here is early access multiplayer pre-release gameplay. But again, I'll say at the fact that when the game does go available for free on Steam in 10 days time, it will still be an early access release. So I guess what I'm going to be trying to answer in this video is, what's Operation Harsh Doorstep all about? And is it going to be worth putting your time into it, either now by supporting the game through Patreon or through contributing on their Discord, or when it actually comes out for free? Now, looking at the gameplay, you're probably thinking, this looks a little bit basic, and you'd definitely be right, because you need to remember where this game has come from. So Blue Drake, the famous YouTuber, got sick and tired of big first-person shooters coming out, AAAs and the like, which had abandoned mod support over the years, obviously particularly on PC. Early versions of Battlefield and even earlier versions of Call of Duty, mod support has been available. Where now, when you talk about Call of Duty, when you talk about Battlefield, when you talk about most big shooters, mod support doesn't even come into any of the conversation at all. And really, even some of the games that do support mods to a certain extent don't support them completely. About the only games that are out there that really do, in terms of shooters, are games like Arma 3, DayZ, and then you have things like Arma Reforged as well, working towards Arma 4 in a couple of years' time. So Blue Drake wanted to build a shooter from the ground up that would have mod support. And basically on the Steam page, and I'll put a link to all of this in the description below the video, he says, I got sick of games with loot boxes and predatory monetization with no single player missions or mod support. So our community started making this game instead. A shooter sandbox with all the features a game should have. Oh, and we're funding it on Patreon and giving it away for free. He says a few more things on the Patreon page as well. Operation Harsh Doorstep is a free, community-developed, realistic tactical shooter developed by Drakeling Labs. Planned features include large-scale engagements, combined arms warfare, full support for community mods. It will have no price tag and no microtransactions of any kind. Our objective is to create a free tactical shooter that meets or exceeds the production values of paid current-gen tactical shooters. Operation Harsh Doorstep development contributors include industry veterans and team alumni from other esteemed titles including Project Reality, Squad, Insurgency Sandstorm, Red Orchestra 2, Rising Storm 2, and the regrettably cancelled Project Reality 2 project. Developers from all backgrounds and levels of experience have come together to support our vision for this project. With your help, we can continue building Operation Harsh Doorstep into a free, community-first, current-generation tactical shooter that raises the bar for shooters everywhere. Which sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? And when you actually play the game, either through early access, or when it comes out on Steam in early access, what you'll notice is, the guns feel really good. The movement's kind of okay. The sound sounds good, and the graphics, they're okay. They're workable. And you really just have to remember that as far as the gameplay goes, this is, at the moment anyway, a hardcore tactical gameplay shooter. So at the moment there's no indicators over players' heads or even on the map about who's on your squad, so you've got to identify people by the uniforms they're playing. It's very simple objective based gameplay, a bit like Frontlines from Battlefield. So when you're playing, you've got to go slow, lots of smokes, you've got to really look where the enemies are, you've got to always be looking for cover, and that's not the normal sort of style of first person shooter that I play. I play Call of Duty, Battlefield, PUBG, things like that, which do have an element of tacticalness. And when I first started playing Harsh Doorstep, I was a bit like, oh, right, okay, this isn't much fun. But then I had my first game where I actually got 5 kills, and at the moment the games last about 10 minutes. And I was like, all right, this is quite cool. I'm kind of getting the hang of this. And the other thing that's really cool about this is that there's already access to several different maps and eras, and when the game comes out in early access, there will be access to more. So the idea behind it is you will have World War I maps, World War II maps, Vietnam maps, Cold War maps, and kind of the modern warfare, modern era type maps as well. But again, when you play it, say for example last night I took part in one of the playtests and had a good time, had some good fun, but then afterwards I fired up Battlefield 1 on the PC, which I think came out in 2017, didn't it? And you play Battlefield 1, and I was playing Conquest, so it's objective based, squad based gameplay, and you know, it looks absolutely stunning. I mean, it still does, you know, a game from 6 years ago. So I think it's really important to recognise that with Operation Harsh Doorstep, by playing it now and in early access and going forward over the next few months and the next few years maybe, it's not really about the gameplay now, it's about the potential gameplay that's going to be coming up. It's about what modders and what devs will be creating in the future for this platform, because we're the platform that's free to play and that embraces, you know, single player, multiplayer, co-op, PvP, and as I said, you know, it incorporates World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Cold War, etc. If you compare that, say, with something like Arma 3, you know, a paid title that came out 10 years ago, and where it was when it came out, and what the game was, and where, say, Arma 3 is now, where the game has been totally transformed by independent mods, then kind of that's what Operation Harsh Doorstep is now. The Harsh Doorstop is now. You know, it's almost like, you know, like the beginning of Arma 3. And I think it's really interesting to get involved at this stage of a game, because, you know, as I say, you can get involved before the launch by downloading the free single player demo, though the bots are a bit basic, or you can join the Patreon and get involved in the playtests. It's very interesting to be involved at this early stage to see where the game goes and how we get there, and most importantly, being involved in what I'm sure will be a really burgeoning community and a very popular game platform, because Blue Drake has already said, you know, everything's going to be open source, so other devs can come along and take the Operation Harsh Doorstop engine and then build their own games on top of it, which would be very exciting as well. So to kind of answer the questions, what's it like and is it worth putting your time into? So it's very basic at the moment. But the community is engaged and very helpful over on the Discord, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what happens going forward. So I think, yes, it's definitely worth investing your time in, because money, I mean, it's going to be free, in firing it up. But bear in mind that it is a very tactical first person shooter, so even I think when we get the early access version in 10 days time, it will still be, compared to things like Call of Duty or Battlefield, it will be like the hardcore version of those, you know, a slightly more hardcore version of those as well, in terms of being able to understand where the enemies are, who's shooting at you, where you got shot from, and all that sort of thing. And I think it's very exciting indeed. So that's my take on it. I think if you're into first-person shooters or third-person shooters on PC, and you're thinking, yeah, I like the tactical side of things, I think this is definitely something you should be looking at and checking out and getting involved in, and then we can all see where it goes from there. Anyway, that's enough from me. I'll put all the relevant links in the description below this video. If you enjoyed the video, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe, and I will of course see you again soon.